Welcome to the Pulse of Boxing, powered by the Atlantic City Boxing Hall of Fame, where boxing history indeed comes to life. And I am Rob Scott. September 29th to October 1st is coming up very, very quickly. And I hope you got your room reservations. I hope that you got your tickets, because if not, you're going to be missing out on something huge. You're going to be missing out on the 7th annual Atlantic City Boxing Hall of Fame induction weekend. And like every year, it's always going to be a knockout. And this year is going to be no different. We got inductees George Foreman, David Tua, Shannon Briggs, and the host, and the list goes on as far as inductees go. But also the list goes on as far as people that will definitely be in attendance. We got people like Michael Spinks, Michael Mora, Buster Douglas. We got uh, Roberto Duran. We got a whole bunch of people that are going to be in attendance to cap off boxing's biggest weekend. Now, I have the pleasure this week of talking to one of the inductees. Great guy, hard hitter, definitely deserved to be inducted this year. I have Mr. David Tua. First off, a huge congratulations on your induction to the Atlantic City Boxing Hall of Fame. It's well deserved. Some of your best victories have been right here in Atlantic City. How does it feel being inducted into the Atlantic City Boxing Hall of Fame?
Firstly, thank God for blessing us with another beautiful day, regardless of the many challenges that all of us go through. We appreciate His unconditional love. To be inducted into the Hall of Fame here in Atlantic City, it's an honor. I appreciate. Very grateful to Atlantic City Boxing Hall of Fame, Mr. Ray McCline, and the board for blessing us with this great honor. Certainly, this great honor belongs to those who have paved the way for me, the pathfinders of our sport here in the Pacific. So I'm very privileged to be there to accept it on their behalf.
Let's walk us through the David Tua journey, if you will. You started. I read that you started boxing at the urgence of your father, but initially you didn't want to box. What was it? What was it that made the mental transition and from you not wanting to fight to you loving the sport?
Well, when I was a kid growing up in the islands, I was born in Samoa. I was born into a privileged family. My father and my mother. Our mother had a convenience store in the village. They've worked hard pretty much for the things that made our lives a lot easier. And I didn't quite understand what my father was actually doing. I was only 7. A 7-year-old. You just want to be a typical kid. You want to hang out with your friends. But here I was. He got me into training. He loved me to follow his footstep. My father was a boxer himself, but I didn't quite understand at the time. But I think when we moved to New Zealand at the age of 10, I realized how tough it was for our parents. My father worked 12, 14 hours a day, and mom she worked 3 part-time jobs at a time, just to help and get our family going. So I saw the opportunity then, and I realized, if boxing was a sport that can provide those things, then that would be it for me. And I realized that if you do well in sport here in New Zealand, that can set you up for life. If you do well in school, that pretty much does the same thing. So that was really the turnaround for me, was really to help my parents.
You came into boxing at the insistence of your father. Throughout your career, did your father? How did your father? Basically, in the end, how did your father take to your career, your achievements?
I think my father have not once said to me that he's proud of me. He was from that old school.
To this day,
But I believe that he was proud of me, even though he didn't tell me. Though I wish he would tell me and let me know. But I know he had mentioned that a lot of time to our mother, and mom always often says that to us. So he trained me at a very young age, but my father knew his limits respectfully, and he knew when it was time to pull back from helping my career at a very young age. He realized that there were other people that may be a little bit more smarter, maybe a little bit more better than him, but he was always there to critique, me after each fight, especially when I was coming back, turning pro in the United States and coming back home. He was always there to critique and help out where he could.
now you fought 14 times in Atlantic City. And as a matter of fact, to a certain degree, Atlantic City was sort of your coming out party with your huge victory over Ruiz in 19 seconds, and that was on the undercard of what is it, the heavyweights, the young night of the young heavyweights that you
Yes.
were on. Now going into that card, um, people's radar was more on Shannon Briggs. They were more on Galata. They were more like that. But by the end of the night, basically everybody was talking about David Tua. What was David Tua thinking after that 19-second victory?
Well, most importantly, I'm glad that brother Johnny was okay. As a fighter, you often think about your the person that you share the ring with, and you give it your best, and you hope that both of you guys can go home to your families with your health intact. So most importantly, I'm glad that he was okay. But there were challenges in camp, which a lot of people didn't realize. I actually had a fracture and a hairline fracture on my left elbow, and a week and a half after the fight, we actually went to the doctors. It was bothering me in training, and we did an X-ray, and sure enough, it was a hairline fracture. And the doctor said you can't fight. And Lou looked at me and said, "What you gonna do?" I said, "No, I'm gonna fight." The reason being is the belt meant a lot to me. When I was an amateur here in New Zealand, my coach at the time actually pranked me. He says, "You see that big belt? That's for the heavyweights." And obviously, after the fight I had won, as an amateur, it wasn't the bout for the heavyweights. It was the bout for the most scientific. And they gave me a shield. And then I remember how devastated I was, and I was heartbroken because I was looking forward to that bout. So when the opportunity presented itself to fight for Johnny Ruiz bout, there was no way, respectfully, and there was no way in hell that I was going to miss out on that opportunity. So when that came, I knew how important it was for me to win this belt. And I'm just glad that all the hard work and everything else that I did in training with Roger and Ronnie and the team came out all right.
Now, you know, it's boxing and knockouts take place, but yours has always been a different type of knockouts. I mean, it's I would say that you've scored pulverizing knockouts. Where does that power come from?
From God, uh, from hard work, but I think it really developed when I was a little kid growing up in the islands in Samoa. When I sort of wasn't doing well in school and I wasn't listening to school, my father had got me to cut the grass with a machete. And my right hand, I write with my right hand, but whenever I would do anything that I didn't like, especially cutting the grass with the machete, he got me to do it in my left hand. And I believe those early lessons and the things that I did really developed, the left side of me. And I think it was something that I took upon myself, and I took advantage of it, especially when I was fighting in the States.
With that power, you've melted a lot of fighters. Two-sided question: what was the hardest punch you ever threw? Who was it against? The hardest punch you ever threw, and who was the hardest puncher that ever hit you?
Think I don't know. I don't go out and think and sort of premeditated certain things and said, "Oh, I'm gonna hit this person the hardest," or my right hand or left hook or uppercuts or body shots. When you're in, it's really, it comes down to those split seconds. If the opportunity is there, you take it. And for me, I've always been the one to give everything in every round, no matter what. But in regards to who's hit me the hardest, I'm a firm believer that I have the utmost respect for everyone that I've shared the ring with, and every single one of them can hit. But I think nobody can hit me the hardest than my mother. I think
I'm
it goes for all of us. I think it goes for all of
I was
us.
just about to say those words. I think that's other people will say that same sentiment. I understand that a great deal. Um, John Ruiz was 19 seconds. Michael Moore was what 30 seconds, I believe. Um, again, that power. One thing that I always noticed this about two things. I always noticed uh, you, Naseem Hamed, and Manny Pacquiao. So when I talk about your power, where it comes from, your legs.
Hmm.
What do you do to develop them to get them tree trunks?
I think it's running, skipping. It's everything that you do as a boxer. Can contribute into those punches. But yeah, I think it's conditioning your body from head to toe, and I think you can never overlook anything. So you really do the best you can in regards to getting yourself prepared. And like I said, when the opportunity presents itself, you give everything. And I was never known to have big legs when I was a young kid. When I was a kid, I was a skinny kid, to be quite honest. And I started my career at, I believe I was at a welterweight, and then things just changed from there. And as I started moving up in ages, everything else, changed in my system, in my body. But it's a thing that I don't train specific muscles or specific part of my body just because I've got a hook. So I don't rely on certain things that I got to do for my legs. I train everything.
Weight. Let's talk about weight. You said that you started out. What did you say? What did you say? Welterweight.
I think probably welterweight or maybe welter or light middle. Yeah, around that.
And it's funny that you say that because you grew and you had your critics, and a lot of your critics started saying that basically, you packed on the pounds, and that you would be better if you had lost pounds. You always fought that notion. Do you still fight that notion that that higher weight was better for you than your 225, which you were really really knocking out guys?
I think I really believe the critics were good. What was probably the most challenging fights were outside the ring. My personal life at the time. And as a fighter, you do the best you can to deal with those situations. But as a fighter, you need to be completely focused. So obviously it was came down to how I saw things, but it wasn't really an excuse. But to be completely honest, yeah, my best was definitely around 225. Absolutely.
Let's talk about Ika Beabuchi. You guys set records for the amount of punches in the heavyweight history. Take us back to that night in which you guys, left people in awe.
To be quite honest, those are the type of fights that I prefer. Uh, you give it your best. They give their best. You give something back to the fans, and you hope you leave the ring with, like I said, once again with your health intact. And yeah, it was one of the my memorable fight because I fought someone that was probably just as good, or someone that threw a lot of power shots, just as I was trying to do. And yeah, if I had it my way, I would get into those type of fights. Unfortunately, the game has changed, and bigger rings. I think back in the days they didn't have a big of a ring because not many there's not many places where you can run. You can run all you want, but as a fighter, you wanna fight. But that was one of my memorable fights. Yeah, absolutely.
Now, do you still keep track of boxing nowadays? Because there's so many fighters that don't. Once they retire, they retire. Do you still keep track of boxing today? And if you do, what do you think of the modern day crop of heavyweights?
I haven't, to be quite honest, I haven't. Once I left the sport, I got involved with the young fighters coming through. I've got a few nephews that wanted to try the sport out, and I set them down and let them understand what involves and how important it is that you need to commit your whole self into it. Otherwise, don't do it, because it's a special sport that either you give everything or not at all. But in regards to following the sport, I haven't followed the sport as much, unless you've got these big fights now. The little guys like Spencer and Crawford and a few of the other guys coming through. I probably have watched them more than the heavyweights.
Well, I know one thing that came to my mind before Deontay Wilder lost to Tyson Fury. There were so many people that came out the woodwork saying that Deontay Wilder was the hardest puncher, not only in his time, but people were saying that he's the hardest puncher in heavyweight history. And the first thing came to my mind was like, do you guys ever have you guys ever seen David Tua? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that really kind of threw me when people used to say that. Again, that power is something that was you're like the heavyweight Julian Jackson to me. That's who I compare you to because
Yeah.
because you didn't wobble dudes, you just melted them, and that was something that was always a sight to behold.
Right.
Um,
I think what it is sometimes when I'm in there, I I look at it this way, and I always feel, and it's not to be bragging or be disrespectful for the person that's in the ring with me, but I've always believed the sooner I get you out, the better for both of us.
yeah, yeah.
I don't mean that in a bad way. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah.
It's like,
What it is uh, technically speaking, it's best that somebody get knocked out as opposed to take a 12 round punishment, a thumping,
right? Yeah. There you go. Yeah.
and you
That's
just
right.
you just get it out of the way. John Ruiz was able to go and win the championship twice after being knocked out 19 seconds. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I gave him my blessings, right? Respectfully, right?
Well, but respectfully, but I know for 19 seconds you didn't respect them, man. um, I was gonna say, but you have been an enigma, and when I say that, I'm saying because here's a guy who never won the heavyweight championship, yet he holds devastating victories over guys who've held the championship on multiple occasions. How does that, you know, sit sit with David Tua?
It's very humbling, to be quite honest. That comes from amazing champion like yourself, and I've always believed your the outcome of anything and everything that you've done in life, either it's in sports, business, or whatever you've done. It goes back to the fans, to those who love you, those who appreciate the sport for what it is. They will tell you if you did something in the sport. They will tell you if you did what you're supposed to do. They are the ones that will tell you if you're a good fighter or not. And at the end of the day, if they're less assured with them that I did okay, then I feel good. I'm happy with that.
Well, from a personal standpoint, was there any fights on your radar that never materialized that you wanted to happen?
Maybe with the utmost respect, maybe Mike Tyson. An icon, an amazing fighter in this time. Maybe it was a fight that should have happened, could have happened, and never happened. I think it was more of something for me, in the sport. Though I didn't hold the title, but I sort of refer to by those who love the sport as someone that never did, but sort of refer to me as someone that was a champion. And looking at and appreciating what Mike had done, not only for the sport, but what he was able to do in the ring. I was thinking, man, that would have been a really, really good fight to have done for me.
Well, with the modern day, with all the exhibitions that are taking place, Tyson fought Roy Jones in an exhibition, and it was a good seller. I still people not only did you clamor for that fight, but people clamor for that fight, and I think that that fight would still um, be something today, whether it's a real fight or whether it's an exhibition fight. Would that be something that you would be willing to do today, like fight an exhibition with Mike, or like I said, like there's so many people now that are doing that. Would you do that?
Yeah, of course, that would be an honor. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh well, let's make it happen. Let's make it happen. Definitely, let's make it happen. I guarantee you that that one would sell because there's been so much curiosity behind it.
Yeah.
Um, Mike Tyson's been going down as one of the hardest hitter, and again, like I said, pound for
Yes.
pound, from my point, and this is no disrespect to Mike, but I think that you hit harder. Um,
Thank you.
I do think that you hit harder, but from a career wise, any regrets? What would you do? What would you do differently if you had the chance to do it over again?
I I have no regrets. I've been very, very lucky, very blessed to be given the opportunity to have shared a ring with not only amazing fighters but amazing friends. Because either like it or not, you might not like them before the fight, but they just people like you and me. So no regrets. If there were any things that I could have done differently, maybe I would have got this right. And making sure that there were no distraction out of the ring in regards to preparations and all that. Some stuff I really believe I could have avoided, but was how to deal with this was really really important. But in regards to all in all, I was very, like I said, I was very privileged to be in the ring with everyone that I've shared the ring with, and no regrets whatsoever.
Great career, great time in Atlantic City, and again, like I said, I appreciate the work that you did in Atlantic City. It's a no brainer for you not to be in the Hall of Fame.
I love Atlantic City. I absolutely love Atlantic City. It's one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite towns and city in America. To be quite honest.
Well, definitely, like I said, every year the Atlantic City Boxing Hall of Fame gets better and better. I mean,
Wow.
it's it. that's definitely a sincere words that I'm speaking right there too. Every year it gets better and better, and I don't think that this year is going to be any different. This year we had so many, uh, along with the inductees, along with you, along with Shannon, along with George, and a few other ones that are being inducted. We got a whole bunch of
Right.
people. We got a who's who of people coming out. Mora will be there, James Tony,
Wow.
Riddick Bowe,
Wow.
Roberto Duran, Michael Nunn,
Wow.
Vinny Pazienza, Michael Spinks,
Wow.
Steve
That's
Cunningham,
awesome, man.
Junior Jones, Kelly Pavlik, Iran Barkley, Tim Witherspoon, Buster Douglas.
Wow.
There's so many people that are going to be there, and all
Wow.
those names, and you are definitely one of the top names that are going to be there. And I don't think that I
It's an
think
honor.
that the
It's an
fans,
honor.
I think the fans are going to love your presence, and I think that you're going to love the presence of everybody. That Friday night, we're going to hard hitting promotion is going to be throwing a fight in conjunction with the Atlantic City Box Hall of Fame. So there's going to be a fight card at Bally's, and then the
Right.
induction on Saturday, and where you can definitely shine. Look forward to you walking across that stage.
Thank you,
That
sir. I
well.
really appreciate it, my brother. I look forward to seeing you, man.
Oh yeah, no doubt, man. It was. I look forward to seeing you. Trust me, trust me,
Yeah.
trust me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, again, like I said, I don't want to hold you up because I know you were busy. I don't want to hold you up, but I want to thank you for taking the time to talk to me. But also, I want to again congratulate you on your induction to the Atlantic City Box Hall of Fame. I'm looking forward to meeting you. Well, I've met you before when you fought Michael Moore. I met you, but you may not remember that. But I met you back then. But I look forward to seeing you at the induction weekend. Trust me, you're gonna have a great time. You've never been there before, but trust me, and you've been inducted in other Hall of Fames, but now you've in the big time. You're in the Atlantic City Boxing Hall of Famer, and more than welcome. More than welcome. God bless you.
Thank you. Once again, yeah, it's really it's a great honor. It's a big honor for all of us. And once again, appreciate Mr. Ray McCline and the board for this great honor. And Atlantic City, I've always have been my home for so long. I've lived there. I fought there for so long with the Duvers, and it was a really, really, really important time in my career and my life as well. So I really look forward to seeing you. Really look forward to seeing all the inductees and those who will be there. And I know it's going to be an amazing time. I appreciate it. And God bless you and your family. And look forward to seeing you, brother.
God bless you, man. God bless you.